So as we know, Xenoblade X is very, very close to coming out, and we got a lot of gameplay and all of that. The embargo has been lifted, you already know all this stuff. And there's been a lot of changes to XDE from the original game, but there is one change that isn't really like a new feature or anything that I think people aren't talking about enough. People are kind of just like glossing over. Now, this is a very big change. Once you actually like pay attention to it, you might not notice it like in passing, but that is the loading times, and the loading times of XDE are insane, bro. Like, especially if you played the original game, you will know how much of a godsend that this is. The loading times are basically non-existent in X compared to the first game. X's loading times were abysmal. They were abysmally slow. They were so bad that Monolith even released DLC, free DLC for Xenoblade X. And one of the packs was literally just to make the loading times faster. That's how much of an issue it was. The loading times were so bad they had to release DLC just to make the loading times shorter. Okay, so just imagine how slow it was. And even with the DLC packs to make it faster, it was still pretty slow. Like, Xenoblade 3 is the slowest game out of the 1, 2, and 3. Xenoblade 3 is the most loading time intensive game. It's the most load heavy game. And even with the DLC packs, Xenoblade XDE was still almost as slow as that. It was just barely faster. I'm gonna put up a comparison right here just so you can see how bad it really was. And that's just to load into the game. There's so many times where I've wanted to play Xenoblade X, but I really didn't feel like waiting all that long, especially since first you have to make sure your gamepad is even charged. I have to make sure my gamepad's charged, okay? And then turning on the console takes a bit, and then, you know, selecting your user, like your Nintendo ID, and then loading into the game, all that takes a pretty long ass time, as you just saw. And you can only imagine how much quicker it's going to be loading into the game from the Switch. Now, I know I just compared it to Xenoblade 3 and that took around the same amount of time, so how could it be faster? But I'm pretty sure, given like how fast they are in this game, like right here, switching from the the overworld of Mira into the Blade Barracks is seamless. Look how quick that was. That never would have happened in Xenoblade X in the original game. And just fast traveling 2 is also just so much faster. So I'm pretty sure, like, I'm confident that they had optimized the loading times as much as they could. So even just loading into the game from the Switch menu probably isn't going to take that long. It's not going to take as long as Xenoblade 3. I'm sure of it. So just the fact that the game is going to load a lot faster is a huge plus. Like, you might not notice it at first, but the more you play, you're really going to notice how long the loading times really are. And it's not like there's even a lot of loading zones in the game. There's only one, literally one loading zone in the entire game. of Xenoblade X and all of Mira, as massive as the planet is, there's only one loading zone in the whole game, and that is to go into the Blade Barracks. So it's not like, oh, there's going to be a ton of loading zones you have to go through, so shortening the time is going to make it a lot easier. It's not even that. Mira is fucking massive. This planet is huge, so you're going to be fast traveling to a lot of places pretty frequently. So just the in-between fast traveling is going to be a lot shorter, and that's going to feel so good. Just it's really adds up, especially in like the original game without the DLC pack. So imagine how long you'd have to wait just to fast travel, and then you're doing that multiple times through a play session. Just imagine how much that builds up. That could be minutes waiting in just a loading screen. Xenoblade XDE is going to be so much faster. It's going to take seconds, if that. So it really does make a big difference in the grand scheme. Like, a lot of your playtime is not going to be sitting in a loading screen like X or maybe 3 is. So just the fact that they're optimizing this game to the fullest potential is just so nice. It's always so nice to see developers putting so much care into small things like that. And I don't know what is up, but Microsoft and by extension Nintendo are just fucking masters at compression. This game is only like 15 gigabytes big, 13 gigabytes, somewhere around there. The original game was also 15, but this game, as pretty as it looks and as huge as it is only 15 gigabytes on the Switch. That is insane, considering most games coming out these days are well over like 300 gigabytes. Like the Modern Warfare 3 that came out last year, that shit is over 300 gigabytes, I'm pretty sure. Just for like the campaign. Okay, and that wasn't even everything included. But this game is only 15 gigabytes. I swear, Nintendo are like masters of compression. I don't know why other companies don't compress their games. Like, it really makes no sense to me. What reason would you have not to compress? All right, people having to get all these like terabyte storage spaces just to get 300-400 gigabyte games, and it's like, just compress your files. And it's really like more of like a Western developer thing, because like Nintendo and other like Japanese game companies are pretty good at compressing. It's just like the Western companies for some reason just won't compress their shit. It makes no sense to me. And even opening the menu is damn near instant. Just the menus are a lot snappier, the loading times are a lot shorter. So like, this game has been like really optimized to be as quick as possible. It feels, it gives me like really big Xenosaga 3 vibes, but Xenosaga 3 is still even faster than this. And Xenosaga 3 came out in 2006 on the PS2, and it's faster than a Switch game coming out this year. It's kind of wild, okay? I don't know how Monolith Soft did that, bro. Comparing the load times from Saga 2 to Saga 3 is just like night and day. That's like comparing a turtle to the speed of light. It is insane how fast Saga 3 is. I still don't know how they did that and why they haven't done that for the Xenoblade games. Maybe it's like some technical issues, but holy fuck, Saga 3 is so fast in everything it does. But yeah, that's really about it. I kind of just wanted to talk about the loading times because I really did notice that when watching Xenoblade XDE gameplay. I noticed how fast the loading times are for like fast traveling and going into the Blade Barracks. Especially the Blade Barracks are pretty notorious for taking a while to load into, and then loading back out into Mira takes even longer because the world is so big. But in DE, it takes literal seconds. It's so fast, bro. And it's such a big thing that I noticed because I'm so used to playing the original X with the slower loading times. Thank fuck I had the DLC packs, because I can't even imagine how long it would take without them. So I had those. Actually, I did play without the DLC packs for a little while, and that was let me say, I was spending a lot of time in some loading screens. But seeing how fast DE is such a big thing, because it may not seem that huge, like, okay, so what, it's just loading times on the surface, but once you like start playing for a while and like starting to pay attention to it, it really does make a difference, because that could be the difference between someone continuing to play and dropping the game because it's taking too long to load. So I'm really glad to see just how much snappier it is. They're paying attention to everything. They're like this, the game looks gorgeous. Upscaled it, new models, like the resolution has been increased, loading times are being optimized, same with storage. I'm pretty sure this game is smaller than the original, so it's just great. But especially with all of the new added content in the epilogue, and it's still like 13 to 15 gigabytes. That is fucking wild. Monosoft really are the goats. But yeah, that's about it. Watch Anel's video about his Xenoblade X theory about Mira as a simulation. That is actually so fun to watch. And Anel's not really much of a theorizer, but that was actually a really well done video. It makes a lot of sense, and it got me so hype for XDE, and you know, to see what's to come in the future, Xenosaga. But yeah, that's about it. See you next mission and placement. God damn Xenoblade.